Did you know that a simple medical procedure, male circumcision, was once thought to reduce the risk of HIV by a whopping 60%? That number came from clinical trials conducted in Uganda, Kenya, and South Africa back in 2005 and 2006. Those trials were groundbreaking, showing that circumcised men were significantly less likely to contract HIV through heterosexual contact compared to men who weren't circumcised. But here's the big question. Does that 60% protection hold up in the real world, outside of labs and tightly controlled studies? That's what today's video is all about. We're diving into the largest study ever conducted on this topic, involving nearly 280,000 men from 29 African countries. And the results might surprise you. Between 2008 and 2019, Kenya rolled out the world's largest voluntary male circumcision campaign, part of a global effort to fight HIV. Over 2 million Kenyan boys and men underwent the procedure, motivated by those early, promising clinical trial results. But real life isn't a lab. People live in complex social environments, their behavior changes, access to care varies, and circumcision can be done either medically or traditionally, with different levels of safety and effectiveness. Until recently, no one had taken a serious look at whether these massive circumcision campaigns were really cutting HIV rates on the ground. Now, we finally have an answer. A new study led by researchers from Kenya, the US, Germany, and South Africa analyzed data from 279,351 men gathered over 2 decades through the demographic and health surveys and AIDS indicator surveys. And here's what they found. In real-world settings, circumcision reduces the risk of HIV infection by about 19%. Yes, just 19%. That's a significant drop from the 60% observed in those earlier trials. But even so, a 1 in 5 reduction in risk is nothing to ignore, especially when we're talking about a virus that has taken millions of lives across the continent. The study even found that within the same households, circumcised men had lower HIV rates than their uncircumcised brothers or roommates. Specifically, 3.5% of circumcised men were HIV positive, compared to 8.6% of uncircumcised men. That's more than double the prevalence. Cut to Map of Africa showing countries included in the study. However, the researchers did note a few limitations. For example, they couldn't always distinguish between medical circumcision and traditional circumcision, especially in parts of Central, Southern, and Western Africa. Medical male circumcision, or VMMC, is known to offer better protection because it's performed in sterile, controlled environments by trained professionals. So while the overall figure is 19%, the risk reduction could actually be higher in areas where VMMC is dominant. The study's lead authors, Professor Kenneth Ngure from Kenya and Dr. Beatrice Wamuti of Harvard University, emphasized that this is not the final word. More data is needed, particularly on the method of circumcision used in different regions. Cut to Animated infographic explaining HIV transmission and circumcision's effect. But here's where things get really interesting. Unlike condoms or daily pills like PrEP, which rely on consistent use and behavior, male circumcision is a one-time procedure. Once it's done, the protection it offers doesn't depend on whether a person remembers to take a pill or wear a condom. That makes it a powerful public health tool, especially in areas with limited healthcare access. The researchers behind this study are urging governments and health organizations not to scale back these circumcision campaigns. They argue that, while 19% may not sound huge, it adds up, especially when combined with other interventions like education, condom distribution,